Philip H. Anselmo here, making an announcement. And I'm showing you a flyer live from the lair. SCOUR. You see that? That's January 29th. With Shock Narcotic. By the stream. Love y'all.
Welcome, gentlemen, to the Laugh the Monkey Music Show. Today we got SCOUR on. How are you guys doing today, man?
Cheers, doing great.
Doing good.
Excellent. Curious, like, what got you guys started to the type of music? Because usually there's like a variance of some kinds, like, well, I liked ABBA, or I like, something like. There's always something really interesting that kind of like, oh, I wasn't expecting that,
Yeah.
I'm not singing like ABBA, Derek. Just saying.
Who doesn't love some ABBA? That's for
It's
sure.
out of the bag. It's out of the bag.
Yeah. I guess influences for SCOUR. I mean, there's a heavy, Scandinavian.
Actually, I mean, for you, like originally starting off, I'm just curious, like initially, just like each new piece, guys starting off.
Just me in general in the world of music.
Yeah, just a little.
Well, Metallica, my favorite band, of course. They were definitely my favorite band growing up. Metallica, Pantera. But then, like in the early high school age, I was really big into ska. I was a huge rude boy. Thin black tie, all that. And I actually was going to play the trumpet to start a ska band. And I had that for a couple months. And then I was like, if I played bass, I could also play metal, which I love, of course. And then once I started playing bass, the metal kind of just took over and never looked back.
See, I didn't see that one coming. John, sorry.
So I'll take it from here.
Please.
I started off, MTV was a big thing when I was very young, and my parents would play Beatles records in the house, and I'd go through his collection and check out like ELO or Harry Nilsson or, The Who, any kind of type of stuff that he had laying around. But it was really MTV and Def Leppard early on during the Pyromania era. And then Ozzy Osbourne's solo stuff, like the Bark at the Moon video. It was really big for me. And then when I was about 10, Metallica 1 video came out. And that was where it kind of went to the real heavy stuff. And later on you get into Slayer, and then next thing you know, you're listening to Hate Eternal, and it just keeps getting more extreme every day, it seems. But really MTV Headbangers Ball was a really big deal.
Who are any holdovers you still listen to now? Are that later music?
Well, I still listen to all of it. I mean, and the late 80s, even that hair metal era, I mean, it had so many great shredders, and like I even love Winger. I'll still listen to Cinderella and White Snake.
Before I was 12 years old, I mean, it was just whatever the parents had on. So it was like Garth Brooks, Peter Gabriel, Prince, like that mixed bag of like sort of pop music, which I actually enjoyed very much. Like around 12 years old, I met my lifetime like best friend, Andy Husky, and he introduced me to pretty much all the names you guys were talking about. So, Pantera, White Zombie, Slayer, Prong, Nine Inch Nails, Faith No More. He had an older brother that sort of just had all this stuff. And it was just like, that year was just, a dump of the knowledge, you know what I mean? And there was no turning back after that.
We all originally hail from St. Louis, Missouri, home of the championship St. Louis Cardinals. And I
don't follow badminton, so I don't know all the badminton teams.
Okay. But we're all in the St. Louis area, and actually, Mark and I were in a band, Cast the Stone, recently reformed, and the Jarvi, John and Adam, were in All Will Fall. So our two local bands would, like in 2001, 2003, that time, we would all jam together and play shows, Just Bills and all over the place, Creepy Crawl. But now I'm out in San Diego, and the other guys are still pretty close to St. Louis.
Yeah, Adam's out in Baltimore at the time, and Phil's down in Louisiana. So we're kind of spread out.
How'd you guys all end up getting together though? To just, put a band together. So weird nowadays, like, what I'm saying, like everyone's so far apart besides COVID.
Yeah, you think
most bands are everywhere. It just feels weird nowadays.
You think out of that we would have just like started it up and went from there, but it was actually a pretty winding road because like I was joined Misery Index, as did Adam Jarvis. John's in Agoraphobic Nosebleed, was in Pig Destroyer. Derek was in Cattle Decapitation and Unmerciful and Discreet, and I mean he could tell you the laundry. And those were bands out of Kansas City because he was living out there for a while. So it was a bit of a winding road, like just sort of all of us kind of like we did our local thing, and then we sort of found our way onto the national stage, the international stage in different projects. And we just kind of have sort of in a roundabout way have reconvened in this project.
Derek and I were on tour, and he had the demos, and we would go find little spaces and record tracks, and then of course we sent them off to Phil for his approval. That's when he joined up. But getting Mark and Adam on right before the Red EP really beefed everything up. And I think the thing with the Black EP now is the added vocals of Mark. Derek and I sing backing vocals on every SCOUR song, but now we got Mark added in. So now we got 3 different voices in the background added to Phil's. So Mark's got kind of a low growl, and I guess Derek would be a little higher, and I'm somewhere in the middle. So I think it mixes up really well. Started with Fulgora, which is a band Adam and I had, and we signed to Housecore Records. I sent our demo to Housecore. The drummer from Harp, I guess, checked it out and really liked it, and told Phil that he had to listen to it. And so thanks to him, Phil checked it out, and then he hit us up on Facebook, and we signed there. And when Derek and I were thinking of frontmen for the band who would be perfect, he was the only guy we thought of, and luckily he said yes right off the bat. So
I was in Cattle Decapitation for the album The Anthropocene Extinction. We had a perfect like spoken word part that called for a guest vocal, and then Mr. John Jarvis put me in touch with Phil, and so Phil actually did a guest vocal on this song Prophets of Loss. So we kind of had a little rapport, even though it was just one little part, but everything went great. So like John said, when it was time to get a vocalist, we went through a whole list of people, but there was really only one guy we actually wanted, and luckily he said yes. I'm actually the songwriter musically for the band. So the riffs kind of, they always hit me like one time, like kind of in a big section. And then like when I get it down, like in with a guitar in hand and record it and put down the drums, it all kind of comes in one swoop. And I kind of usually wrap it up in like 2 days. Whether if it's 3 weeks before the next song or just the next day, it just kind of, it's a weird how it works. But we always have a saying in SCOUR that says stick to the plan, and we try not to overthink it. So I think when you don't overthink it and do all these revisions over and over and over, I think you really capture like the raw essence of what it's supposed to be. And then it's kind of the starting point. From there, I usually shoot it over to Jarv, get his approval. Sometimes he shuts me down.
Yeah, I got to check all those riffs now.
I like the expression on your face when you said that.
They're usually all get a pass. But very rarely will I say, hey, no.
That's true. He's been like this. This riff sounds a lot like this other riff, and you don't. I mean, you're treading thin already on SCOUR, so you don't want to, go down that road. So once we do that, I send it over to Adam. Adam lays down the drums, pretty much going right after the plan that I mapped out. Of course, he fleshes out a little bit more, being a ripping drummer that he is. And then once we have like a decent demo, send it over to Phil, and he handles all the lyric writing and the patterns, of course.
Cool.
But then I think is the best part for me is when Phil sends those lyrics back to us and he leaves little spots for backing vocals. And Derek and I kind of map them out and add our touch to it. So I think that's my favorite part of the process.
There's a lot of flexibility between working on the songs, though. You're not like locked into.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much been the same process for each song. And like Derek said, we'd like to stick with the plan. And then, you might as well, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
And it's not a bad thing, but it's not the same thing. And that's
right. Yeah. I mean, there's certain bands that progress in this and that, but I mean, there's a lot of bands that are like AC/DC, for example. I mean, they just put out a record this year, and did you listen to it? It sounds like AC/DC. I mean, from 40 years ago.
Like yeah, I like it.
But it's every one of the records, and good for them for being able to do that.
I agree. I think this one's better than their past few, actually, too. I'm glad it's on a high note.
Yeah. I mean, I was impressed but at the same time, you pop it on, you're like, there's no other band that sounds like this. This is AC/DC.
And the riffs can still sound fresh and sound very similar. And that's kind of what I feel like with you guys. It's kind of not comparing you guys to AC/DC, but there's a riff sound you guys have without deviating to some kind of poppy melody.
Right. Well, hopefully we can be compared to a band like that someday. And maybe our full length it could be our Back in Black. You never know. But that's a band that I think got better and better, and then like I said, they stuck. It's just amazing that they could be a band for that long, for one thing, let alone keep making listenable music.
I think they're all down to earth, and that's that they had a songwriting thing down a certain way, and that was it. I don't think they changed it from the very beginning. Everyone was happy in the role and enjoyed what the band was. They they
didn't have a grunge era or Metallica Load era or something, And I could say the same thing for Pantera. I remember when the Reinventing the Steel came out, and I said, you didn't like get pre-listens. We went and bought it the day it came out.
Oh,
and that was like the new metal, like Limp Bizkit was the biggest band in the world, and bands were changing. Slayer changed. I mean,
yeah, is that like Bloodline or something? It had like some weird.
I think it was Diabolus and Musica.
Yeah.
When they had a little new metal influence, I want to say, on some of the riffs.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But Pantera, I popped it in, and I think Hellbound was the first track, and it's just like, all right, they didn't sell out on us,
With the internet, is that helpful, you guys? With media, is it kind of being kind of more of an underground?
Well, I mean, I think it's a necessary evil. I mean, you got to have it if you want to keep everyone informed, and like, how would you know about the Black EP if we didn't have social media,
Right.
Just we don't have MTV anymore like the 80s, and well, there's MTV, but it's not playing.
Right. I mean, some artists actually totally shy away from it. They'll have somebody else, another person do their Instagram, or they'll have, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, for example, like Phil doesn't do any of them. He doesn't do any of his own social media posts, and because he doesn't have to, but
he's also like 18,000 different bands too.
Right. Yeah. He would have to be on there all day. So it's going from down to Superjoint and Minor, to the illegals. So yeah, he has to
not enough time
spread out and let other people do it. And I think Derek and I we've been working with Nuclear Blast Team.
Yep.
And they've been we got the SCOUR team, I guess we'd call it. And really helped us roll out the record the right way and really get the word out. But yeah, you got to have it. I mean, I wish you didn't, but you do.
Well, that's the thing. You know, I actually think Nuclear Blast has really upped the game in the past year and a half on social media. They really seem to be out there a lot. Like,
yeah, and they got a lot of releases, a lot of great bands.
Yeah, but I mean, they're out there more too. It's not like you have to, Nuclear, like, you know what I'm saying, and then kind of like dig through.
They're posting every hour about
they're
something
everywhere, and then, the website's great, and they're just everywhere now, and it's really good for bands like you, because there's not a lot of other media outlets that are going to support you guys, because you guys aren't radio friendly.
Yeah, they're on top of it.
And but as far as the Necessary Evil, I mean, this is the way all your fans can get to talk to you guys and see you guys and listen to you.
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, if it's just radio, you guys would be like playing clubs, and now you would be doing nothing.
Right. Yeah. I just look at it as a tool, and most tools can be used for good or for bad. It's really up to the user, and I try to use it for myself the best way I can.
Has it gotten recording any faster now you guys have been together for a while? You guys kind of like rocking them out quicker now, or what?
Yeah, I think the process has definitely gotten easier and better. At the same time, also, I think we kind of fine-tuned a little bit of the sound on the Black EP than more previous efforts. So in a way, yes, like the way of physically tracking guitars and stuff, I think it's easier on the hands and all that stuff. Maybe not so much easier for Adam Jarvis, who said it was some of the most ripping drums he's ever recorded. So the actual process has gotten a little bit easier, though, I would think.
Well, yeah, Adam actually was going to be in the interview, but he actually has to just blast, and he's blasting as we speak, because he's got to keep those blasts up. I said, get in that room and blast.
Really? That's funny. What have you guys been doing during COVID to kind of being in this weird position? You guys can't even tour.
Well, me first, I've started a band called Nest, and we've been practicing once a week at least, so that's been keeping me really busy. Of course, the release of the Black EPs kept us all busy also. And Derek and I had the Booze Hounds release the 99 bottles of beer.
Dear God, it ate up all of the COVID.
Yeah, that took a lot of our COVID up, trying to get over 100 musicians on the same track.
Wow. That's
so
insane.
But yeah, it did great, and it raised some money for senior dogs, and so we've been trying to stay busy. I know Derek been working hard.
Yeah, I kind of jumped into work pretty heavily. I don't know why. What am I doing? But SCOUR boys, we've got some surprises coming up that all of us are really jumping into and training, if you will. So that's definitely heating up our time.
All right,
guys. Well, thank you for being on the show today. Learned a lot of good stuff, and everything will be underneath the show.
Cheers. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, man.
All right, thank you.
You.
Philip H. Anselmo here, making an announcement. I'm showing you a flyer live from the lair. SCOUR. You see that? That's January 29th with Shock Narcotic by the Stream. Love y'all.